The date is Monday, March 11th, 2024. I'm the chair of the AAC committee, Natalie Sayer, calling it to order at the time of 6:08 p.m. Thank you. I'd like to do the member roll call first. Signify by saying here. James Oku.
Here.
Natalie Sayer here. John Bars.
Here.
Peter Markey.
Here.
Ryan Casey.
Here.
Cole Mazarigas Anastasio. Crystal Shea.
Here.
Daniel Theobald.
Here.
Vacant public fact member, vacant public member, vacant conservationist, natural resource conservation staff Jim Howard, San Mateo County Ag Commissioner Corin Woodall.
Here.
Thank you. Farm Bureau Executive Director Jess Brown.
Here.
UC Co-op Extension Representative Dr. Igor Lacan.
Here.
San Mateo County Planning Liaison Olivia Booth.
Here.
Thank you. Oral communications to allow the public to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. If your subject is not on the agenda, the chair will recognize you at this time. Please start by stating your name. Speakers are customarily limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any oral communications from the public? Okay, Olivia, nothing online?
Eliza?
The chair will recognize Eliza at this time.
Eliza, go ahead. There you
Hear
go.
me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Great. I just wanted to let folks know that tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock, where the RCD is co-presenting on a talk that's about sustaining operations on farms through disasters. So it's us and a bunch of local kind of disaster response organizations. There's going to be dinner served. It's at the Pescadero Unified Board District building. I can send the flyer maybe to Olivia to share. I know it's a little last minute. Hopefully some of you all have gotten that in your inbox as well, but just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Olivia?
Dante.
The chair will recognize Dante Silvestri at this time.
Yeah, Eliza, too bad on the timing. PMAX tomorrow night as well. And a lot of
Oh,
those
yeah, you're
others
right about that.
can that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is that at the same time?
Yeah, I think it actually starts around 6:30, somewhere in that range. They mixed it up, but back to Tuesdays at the community church.
Okay. Yeah. And this starts at 5, so it might be possible to go to both if you're feeling really ambitious, but noted.
Dante, can you repeat what the time you said? I apologize, I didn't hear that. Or is that something in the background?
Eliza's thing is 5 to 7,
Uh-huh.
and then Dante was talking about PMAC meeting, which he said 6 to 6:30. I don't know what time PMAC starts.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else from the public?
That's everyone.
That's it.
Thank you. Next, committee member updates and or questions to allow committee members to share news and our concerns for items not on the agenda. 4A, Peninsula Open Space Trust parcels excluded from wildlife conservation easements that are associated with the Lake Lucerne Mutual Water Company. Anybody want to have an update or comment or a question regarding that?
There's no water company.
Correct, yes.
Oh, we've had a meeting, it's just a private meeting. Hosts and shareholders and they're just, let's do it in talk stage.
Thank you. That was Peter Markey. Anybody else on agenda item 4A, committee member? Okay, moving on to 4B. Eliza Milio will do a training on the Agriculture Ombudsman Program, tentatively scheduled for April 2024. Eliza, was there anything you wanted to say about that?
I don't have anything specific to say, but if there's anyone who wants to sort of share anything particular that they think would be useful for that, I'm happy to take notes, but otherwise I'll just kind of give my standard overview.
Anybody have, thank you. Does anyone have anything they wanted to say or ask her that she could address at that program meeting? Training? Oh, okay. Next, C, San Gregorio Water Master Training Information Overview is tentatively scheduled for May or June. Any comments or questions or updates regarding that from committee members?
Yeah, Peter Morgan, he may come next month.
Okay, thank you. 4E, the Pescadero Fire Station Ag Mitigation Measure. Any committee member updates and or, oh, I'm so sorry. I missed D. Thank you, my dear. Ms. Shea. So D is the Food Hub Liaison, possible volunteer by AAC member Cole Maciorogos Anastasio. Any committee member updates and or questions on item 4D?
So Eliza, can you hear me? This is Olivia.
Yep, I can hear you.
I just want to check in because actually Cole, I know that there was discussion that I think when you were not at the, I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting that you were not at, Cole mentioned that he expressed interest and he's actually not here today, but if you want to, I guess, explain the tasks or responsibilities tonight and.
Sure. I don't really foresee there being any tasks affiliated with this. The background is that the supervisor requested that there be a member of the Ag Advisory Committee who is sort of formally assigned as the liaison between the Food Hub project work. So I'll continue to provide updates as they come along to this group, but this person would be essentially just responsible for noting when any like updates come about that may pertain to a decision the county might need to make. So basically like a two-way between the county and the Food Hub project and vice versa. I don't foresee it, going farther than just knowing y'all's role as the Ag Advisory Committee. If you hear updates where you think that there may need to be more county involvement or awareness, then you would sort of flag that and make that connection.
Eliza, are there regular meetings scheduled for the food Hub committee?
Yeah, so at the moment, really it's still like in the planning phases, but the goal is to get the sort of advisory group back together and also invite new folks to join, and that would take place towards the end of May. So as soon as we have like a final date, I'll be sure to let everyone know at the committee.
I voiced this last time, this is Brian. But I find it a little bit odd that I don't know that Cole is on that committee, subcommittee. I think it's his wife. Cole maybe can speak to this.
Cole,
So I'm just, it keeps coming up.
Cole's arrived to the meeting, just letting me know.
Apologize for being late, yes. Sorry about that.
Okay, so this is the chair for the minute notes, Cole.
Actually, timing.
Has arrived.
Well, I don't know if Paul, like, Are you going to all these food hub meetings? Are you a member of it?
So
You made a member so that you're like officially a spokesperson for the group?
I mean, for myself, so the meetings that have been going right now is currently Veronica Marfon has been the one going to meetings. We're both Priscilla and I with other two owner operators are pretty aware of what's going on with it. And then in terms of the execution of the Pescadero Farms Together contract that we're working with the whole farms with as well. That one, I'm pretty much involved in as much as Veronica is as well. So it's, I'm kept pretty well up to date with what's going on, but, Veronica is definitely the one who's more in it on a daily basis. I know also, I mean, Eliza's part of the group as well, and so I'm not sure if that would be.
Life is on.
Oh, hey, Eliza. Sorry about that. I apologize for being late. Yeah, but, yeah, so I think whatever, I'm happy to be a liaison if that's of use. I wouldn't be able to speak for, every single little detail that you guys talked about, Eliza, in the meetings, but I could definitely probably have a pretty good idea just based on my conversations with.
Yeah, so I think I just was kind of trying to clarify this, but obviously you just got here. I wouldn't expect you to be providing the updates. The supervisor just requested that a member of the committee, which I'm not, be like kind of the go-between in case anything arises in this general work that would need to further county involvement. I could see that looking like some permitting or something down the line. So I would continue to provide updates, and then you would just be essentially the person who would flag if there's a need for the committee to bring other county folks into the conversation. And yeah, in terms of the planning involvement at the moment, we have a grant right now, and Veronica's the only person actually funded through that. So we're paying her, or she's getting paid for this work, which is another thing we want to be sensitive to, is not asking people to do this work for free. So when we do get to the working groups as well, we would be providing some compensation to folks. But that's a big reason why, we're not necessarily asking everyone to participate at all times.
And I mean, just to follow up, I think from the purposes, with that said, I'd be happy to be liaison, like I said, but if that's strong, let me know too. Either way works for me.
Are we to vote on this, or how does it
Yeah,
work?
someone needs to make a motion
You
to nominate him.
Okay,
and
Yeah.
do we
vote by
have,
committee.
And I
a
actually,
motion?
checked it. Once you make a motion, then you don't have to do individual voting.
You do not, so.
No, you can do
just
the,
yea
you
or
can
nay?
do the yay or nay, yeah.
Okay, so do we have a motion? Cole, can you help me with your last name again? I
Yes,
apologize, I don't have the names in front of me.
Last name was Anastasio.
Okay, Cole Anastasio.
Sure.
You are so great, I see what you did there. Thanks. So Cole, do we have a motion on the table to nominate Cole Anastasio for this position?
I'll second.
Okay.
Liaison.
Liaison for the Food Hub Committee, to our committee. So we have a motion from Daniel Theobald and a second from James Zaku. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Then you have to vote.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor, yay, and all opposed, nay. So yays first, is that right? Yays? Yay? Nays? Okay, so the yays have it. Is that correct? Thank you, everybody. Okay, next is, let's see where I am here. Okay, next, on committee member updates and or questions, the Pescadero Fire Station Ag Mitigation Measure. So committee members that have an update or question, I have something first, and then the chair will recognize you. This is Natalie Sayre. I have an announcement relevant to this matter. At our last meeting, I required about the mitigation requirement of this property. Upon my inquiry, we were all told that prime soil mitigation was no longer required. I am reporting that Supervisor Mueller called me right after the meeting to let us know that the information that we were given at the last AAC meeting was false, and that mitigation does still need to occur and did at the time. So I want to thank Supervisor Mueller for letting us know that, and that we had received erroneous information.
Yeah.
James, the chair recognized James Zaku.
We also heard from Mr. Mueller at the Farm Bureau meeting that in order to satisfy the mitigation, that post says they have property that meets the mitigation requirements, but we don't know what property that is, and I am concerned that it probably won't. So we're waiting to hear back what the property is, and yeah, I'm curious and hope to take a look at it here too.
Thank you. Any other committee members, with updates or questions on this matter? Thank you, James. Oh, okay, next, I believe Olivia, there was in effect the planning commission meeting on February 28th. Anybody see that? So I saw that. But Olivia, would you like to report on that? It did talk about post and what they were gonna do.
Correct, there's just a clarification that the information about, just tagging along to what you had mentioned, the information about having the condition removed. It was actually the fact that their staff and council had looked at the mitigation measures on the revised report. And they removed one condition because they felt it was actually condition number 26. I had looked at heard the recording and looked at the staff report today. And they removed it because it was covered, the information and the requirement is covered under condition number 2. And it's covered, it's thoroughly covered under condition number 2. So it was more of, maybe if, to simplify things, the condition number that was removed was maybe just extra and not necessary because it is still
Well, it
covered.
wasn't, it didn't encompass what needed to occur, still needed to occur, but it was just put differently.
Yeah, so it's everything and it's still covered. And just a refresher for environmental documents. If in order for a mitigation measure to be removed, that has to be published, recirculated, an official document that it becomes public record and is recirculated to all interested parties, including the state. And so you cannot simply remove a mitigation and have that be, then that goes directly to the public hearing. It has to be reviewed by all applicable parties who express interest and who have the authority to review it.
That's what I was told as well, and that's what I remembered from previous positions I've been on. So, thank you for explaining that.
And I wanted to add to that. So in terms of I had actually looked at, because I know there was discussion last month about locations of where these potential properties can go. So the condition reads that the wording, as I read it today, was close proximity. They are looking at, obviously, the coast, replacement of that land in the coast, with potentially definitely the south coast, because that's the focused area, but it's not limiting. Those are just kind of general directions that they want to look at. But when I asked about the close proximity, because I know that last month that there was mention of within 5 miles, the numbers, right? So they haven't mentioned, there is no specific number just yet. They just have the general parameters of coast, south coast, and if there's no specific number in terms of the distance.
And did anyone have any questions of Olivia about this?
BJ, I did.
Am I allowed to ask him, since it's on the committee member only update?
You can receive public comment because it was an agendized item.
Okay, are we making an agenda item as you wrote in your
Oh,
email,
yeah.
Olivia, or not?
The Pescadero Fire Station Ag Mitigation Measure, you have that on the agenda, so you can receive public comments.
Yeah, and then I'll make sure, it was actually my error. Natalie mentioned that it was, I mistakenly put it under updates and versus actually in discussion item itself.
Thank you. Yes, it's actually not on the agenda, she had made a mistake and put in her public comment, but her and I discussed that it would be agendized, because James had asked for that at the last meeting and we all agreed, so yeah. So, the chair recognizes the president of the Farm Bureau, Mr. BJ Burns, at this time.
Is there a problem why the county can't tell the public, tell Farm Bureau and the Ag Committee where this piece of property is at? What is the big secret?
I don't know in terms of the depth of what they have looked at. I just know that I was just aware of, I just got updated on the parameters of what they are following in order to find that land. So I don't know to that detail, I'm sorry.
So it could be nothing really then if they haven't told you anything.
Well, it's also, I don't know, it's also because it's not my project. I can ask the project planner again and ask him if they have any specifics. He didn't mention having, I was asking him about clarification on the condition and how it's written and how it's supposed to play out. I didn't ask him yet on, he didn't mention that there are any potential pieces of land on the table.
Cause I understand that Steve Monowitz knows the parcel.
It might be, again, that it just didn't come up in our conversation, so I can find out, I can ask and find out.
Okay, thanks.
So any other questions or discussion regarding this topic? Anybody?
Can we keep it on the agenda for next month?
Okay, and we don't need to revote that, right? We could just to put it over. Okay, I think that's a good idea. And I think it's important to mention that we could all, if we have a question regarding Mr. Monowitz, we can certainly give him an email. He's always very accessible. So having said that, let's move on to the next thing. And also I do want to encourage everybody to inquire, even if we're given incorrect information, it does help to move forward with things and learn. Yeah.
I was just gonna suggest if you want this on the agenda, do you want to add something that contact posts to see if they've identified this property? Because that's what the Farm Bureau was told, was Post said they had a piece of property. And what BJ's asking is what piece of property, so maybe see about contacting Post to see the name of the property.
Well, I think that, we could, if somebody wants to, I guess, but, you would mention that Mr. Monowitz, knew about the property and what it was.
So I
So
understand.
I would imagine that if we all want to ask, we could just shoot him an email separately. Are you asking that we do that as a committee?
Oh, I'm not, it's up to you, the committee.
Okay, would the committee like to do that? A good thought? No? Yeah,
I'm fine with either.
okay,
I mean, it'd be nice if Post was at these meetings in general.
of course, I agree.
I would also like to recommend actually that Mike Scheller is the project planner and he did the presentation at the meeting, the last meeting that it was discussed and held before the public. So he would be, I would recommend emailing him and I could provide his email address.
And his email address is online at the bottom. Does he not, Bertrand?
Or you're also welcome to, if you want to also email Mike and then CC Mr. Steve Monowitz. And you know that Steve gets a lot of emails, but he will direct it,
Steve's, yeah.
He will likely
very
direct it towards-
accessible
yeah.
To me, yeah. So, okay, did anyone who didn't see the planning commission meeting want any more clarification on the association with Post and the mitigation? Because if you do, maybe Olivia can clarify that, or James. Did anyone want that or no? Okay. Okay, so, next is discussion on creating a resource handbook for who does what to help farmers, suggested by AAC member Daniel Theobald.
Hi, Natalie, this is Corin.
Oh, hi,
Online.
Corin. Yeah,
Hi, sorry, I just have a hopefully quick report here from me. I'm sorry I couldn't be there tonight. I had a delayed flight and couldn't make it out there to Half Moon Bay. So last week we had our field worker pesticide safety training, and if there's any feedback, I'd welcome any feedback from anybody that attended or had employees attend. Feel free to reach out to me. We sent out our crop report survey, so our 2023 crop reports underway. We really appreciate information that you give us. Our report is only as good as the information that our farmers provide. So we, again, just that's a personal request from me to help us out. We are doing something different this year. We're having an art contest for our crop report cover. And so we've been publicizing that with the help of the San Mateo County Arts Commission. And also Mike O'Neill helped provide it to some of the school districts. So thank you, Mike, for that. We've done a few outreach events. In last month, we did 2 Lunar New Year events. And we talked about fruit fly quarantines and the importance of protecting our agriculture in the county. And we also talked about our weights and measures programs and services at those events. And then tonight, Deputy Director Jeremy Wagner will give a presentation on the Ag ID program. And on March 17th, we'll have a staff member present in conjunction with the Department of Pesticide Regulation to the Farm Worker Convention about pesticide safety and just the different services that our department provides to the county. And on the week of March 18th to the 22nd, I will be in Washington, D.C. with a delegation of other commissioners and sealers to talk to Congress members about our different needs facing agriculture. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's also during National Agriculture Day, which is March 19th. And our county will be recognizing it tomorrow at the Board of Supervisors meetings. And lastly, we're doing our fertile Cape weed surveys in Pescadero. Fertile Cape weed's an A-rated weed, and we're in search of it. And so the first thing we need to do is find it. And so we know there are certain properties that have it. Other properties we definitely would like to survey to see if they have it. And then we will provide a treatment free of charge to those property operators or property owners, tenants, to try hopefully to eradicate it. So my staff will be out there in Pescadero area doing that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Corinne, can you say a sentence or two more about what an A-rated weed is and what the risk is?
Yeah, so I can't give you the actual definition verbatim right now, but basically it's detrimental to both agriculture and the environment. And it's not in the county, or it's not in the state of California. And so there is hope that it can actually be eradicated, an A-rated weed. And so Q-rated pests are also like treated like A-rated pests. They're like the most notorious pest and the one that we really focus our attention on, A and Q-rated pests. So we pretty much have, well, we have 2 A-rated weed pests in the county at the moment, fertile Cape weed and skeleton weed. Skeleton weed is more on the bay side along 280 and also along El Camino Real. But this particular one in Pescadero, fertile Cape weed, is just kind of in the Bean Hollow area. So there's more hope of actually eradicating it. Did that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. We can definitely get you more information on it too.
Okay, thanks, Corinne.
Thank you.
Next is the discussion on creating a resource handbook for who does what to help farmers, suggested by AAC member Daniel Theobald, which I honestly really appreciate this idea. Personally, I think it's a great idea. So do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I guess just to re-summarize or introduce, I've been here for 8 years now, starting to farm here on the coast side and still very much a beginner, probably be a beginner for the next 10 years at least. But it just made me realize over that time how many things there were that would have been helpful to know or to understand better earlier on. And there's just so many different organizations involved. I didn't know this existed before I showed up at AAC at the Farm Bureau early on. And then of course there's the Agricultural Ombudsman, there's the RCD, there's the permitting, there's the coastal commission, there's, you know, just all these different groups, the state that are all involved. And I just have had these experiences again and again where I thought I understood how things work. And then I end up being surprised that, oh, no, that's actually not how it works, or there's this whole other piece to it, or you can do this, you can't do that, or, you know, here's these resources, here's the, you know, just lots and lots of stuff. And as I've looked for sort of a comprehensive source of just almost even a, you know, a bullet list type of handbook or something of like, what's what, I just realized that most of this knowledge, I think, seems to be in people's heads. And so I thought it would be great if there was, you know, and I'm happy to, you know, do as much as I can on this to dig in. I thought particularly with my sort of fresh eyes to the situation, I can, you know, point out some of the things that were confusing to me or, you know, would have been helpful. But I just thought it'd be a good resource for, you know, probably people who've been here for decades and, you know, new people alike, so.
That's great. And we spoke last time at the last meeting, if my memory serves me correctly, about the ombudsman doing that or having been involved, or they have information already. I'm wondering if she's coming next month, right? I'm wondering if we could
Oh,
bring.
I'm
that-
here, actually.
Yeah, Miss
Um,
Eliza.
Hi, Eliza. Do you want to give us your thoughts on this and create?
Yeah. And sorry I wasn't able to make it last month. Yeah, so Daniel, we
And
should
Eliza,
definitely connect. Huh?
Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to throw work at you, so I had
Oh,
suggested.
no,
this.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
somebody said, hey, that's kind of something that the ombudsman helps with, so.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's, I mean, I was gonna already say before, I was brought up that we have over the course of the last, like, this program's been around about 8 or 9 years. So we have a number of different similar sounding resources. I don't know that it is all in one kind of handbook grouping, but I could even just send you a bunch of what all we
yeah.
already have. You can identify what the gaps are, and maybe this committee can help you with that. And then that certainly falls within the scope of work for the position to help kind of streamline some of those resources.
Yeah, that sounds great. And maybe almost make it a living document, whereas new things come up over time, we can say, hey, that would be great to add to the handbook so that people, you know what's going on there.
Yeah, or the rules changed, that this information is no longer accurate, and modify it.
Mhm.
So are you looking, you think, for an online resource more so than a paper book?
Yeah, I mean, that would probably make sense ultimately, but I'm kind of a fan for like a PDF that you can get online, but you can also print it out. It's my
No,
feeling.
I just wanted to clarify. that's all.
Yeah, definitely it should be available online, I would think.
Because we can talk about
Yeah, because you know,
RCD and the county both hosting that document.
yeah, because as I'd go online and I'd do a search for something, you know, I would often find very dense documents. And I just like navigating some of those like permitting documents or something like that, coming at it without any experience. I didn't know what half of the words in it meant, much less, you know, find what I'm looking for. So I think the big focus for me would be like plain English, you know, assume like the person is coming at it without any experience, and just, you know, really lay it out.
The beginner's handbook. to
Yeah,
San Mateo
clear.
County.
Clear, easy to understand, and then, you know, point people to experts, you
Yeah.
know, BJ, Peter, others who, you know, might be good mentors in a particular area or whatever, I don't know, but just seems like we've got a tremendous amount of knowledge and we could probably do a better job of disseminating it, and helping people to, you know, be successful farmers and protect the environment and all the great things that we're trying to do.
And to help others who are younger like yourself to continue farming here. So that's really good. You know, I mean, even from that perspective, I think unfortunately, sometimes people that are older won't or don't share their knowledge as much. Whereas it would help because then you come up and then you know, you're younger and stronger and you can continue. So, yeah, the
Definitely,
older folks, yeah.
strong, yes.
Yeah, is that something that, it would be appropriate to have Eliza, perhaps, as part of her, part of what we had asked Eliza last time when we talked about her doing the training was something like, a list of the things she does as ombudsman and a list of the things that really aren't part of what she does, so people know. And then maybe tomorrow, or I'm sorry, the next meeting, we could talk to her about, something like this and putting that on there. We could all talk about that as well. Or would that be an appropriate thing to do or not?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good use of time. I'll also make sure, it sounds like, I'm guessing, Daniel, you probably haven't seen the Ag Ombudsman's website, but there is, at least for when it comes to permitting, kind of processes, there's a lot of broken down flow charts and just easier to understand resources around permitting. So maybe in the time between now and next month, I can send you some stuff. You can take a look at that website, and then I'll be sure to include in my presentation, how to access these resources, what that looks like, and then you all can identify if there's any gaps.
Yeah, that sounds great. Appreciate that.
And you have Daniel's, email information.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So, that was one thing that occurred, is I had asked Olivia for the email information, because in the past, the group had all had each other's emails. However, Olivia, you stated that wasn't allowed, and I forgot the reason why.
So conversations for the committee members, you're allowed to maybe have conversations offline of probably a max of two members. The reason being is that if you start talking outside about topics that are in here, then it's a violation of the Brown Act of having discussions outside of the committee.
I knew that was a violation, and it certainly wasn't why I was asking her, but I forgot what her reasoning was. I want her to explain it, so thank you. So, anything else regarding the handbook?
Well, one other thing,
Yeah.
which is really more under number 4, is I've been thinking about this and about sharing knowledge. One of the things we're doing a lot of in our farm, and with our group, is focusing on technology to help farmers, be more economically viable. And I thought it might be interesting at some point to have maybe a presentation or share information on some of the latest, farming and automation technology that a number of different groups are working on.
You know what, that is so well needed. The people that you work with, do you have anybody that is at the level that they could present, or they felt comfortable presenting?
I was thinking of maybe inviting somebody from UC Santa Cruz Center for Agroecology.
Okay,
They're doing a lot of work in this area.
oh, that's fantastic. Would you be able to coordinate with Olivia, with, the date and putting them on
Yeah, I
the
think
board?
it'd probably be months from now. but,
Okay, well, yeah, of course.
They
Yeah.
actually just did a presentation down in Bostonville yesterday.
Yeah, I had somebody there.
And so there's probably a presentation already made. It might not be that, or yeah, it might be that one to get.
All right, well, is that okay to kind of delegate for you guys to, because it sounds like you're on top of that. I think that'd be great. I think that's so needed. So thank you.
Okay, sounds great.
That's
Thank you,
great.
and thank you, Eliza. Look forward to seeing the documents you send me.
So, anything else on the handbook?
Sure.
Yes, the chair recognizes, hey, Igor.
Hi.
Thank you.
Just a quick note, so, Cooperative Extension has this whole network of small farms advisors. We have 2 in the Bay Area, Aparna Gazula in Santa Clara County and Kamir Aram in Alameda and Contra Costa. Both of those people are willing to come down if
Oh,
you
that'd be
have
great.
a specific need. Aparna's been here, talked about pumpkin viruses, I believe. I don't work with pumpkins, so this is a little bit off for me, but she actually does work with cucurbits, so that kind of thing. So if you have a specific need, give me a call and I'll find you somebody who does that thing. Certainly the folks just south of us, Monterey County, San Benito County and Santa Cruz County have farm advisors that work on a lot of crops that you all grow here,
These are
so.
farm advisors from the UC system.
Yep. And we can always twist their arm to come give us a hand. So
Great.
certainly,
Could you, just shoot me pointers to their contact information?
will do. And I did ask them about the handbook. They're looking. Nobody has quite, so they have a technical handbook. There is such a thing as small farms handbook. But much of that is a technical, although you might be interested. I mean, they have things like economics of small farms. But specifically on the permitting side, they said, let's look for a model. So maybe they'll come up with something.
Nice. All right. And you all have contact, right?
I have them
Okay.
contact somewhere.
fantastic.
I'll send you.
And do you have access to the people that do the online stuff too at UC Santa Cruz?
I have access to the agroecology people, yes. There is a specialist in agroecology at UC Santa Cruz, and we can give him Joji Morimoto. We can give him a call as well.
Wow. We could have quite an agenda coming up. This is really exciting. I think it'd be nice to see the committee reach out into new things as opposed to getting stuck in the same ruts, if you will.
I'm happy to talk. You tell me what you're interested in, because remember, these are academics. If you just invite them to talk, they'll be here until 11 p.m. So you want to steer them into a specific thing, and then.
It's very inspirational to hear this and from my point of view. Thank you. Yes, Cole, the chair recognizes Cole, a star. You're allowed.
Just a quick thing to note as well,
Yeah.
in regards to, some sort of, directory or sort of like organization piece that Elijah sounds like maybe putting together. I found that with a lot of newer growers, a gap is also just having not like a clear directory to a lot of the vendors that farms may work with. There's 4 operations that are all starting to like you go to that reach out to us a lot. It's about like, hey, who's your tractor mechanic? Where are you guys at greenhouse? So you get potting mix, those kind of things. And having, I think, a document that would just list those things. So it's easier for especially new operations, just to have a reference point would be very helpful.
So then you have your section for your permits, your things like that, and you're saying, okay, here's your tractor mechanic, here's your guy to go to for,
Yeah.
mowing or whatever, and the name and number, name and number.
It could be just a business directory of like everything that's agriculture or service available in the county, but then also obviously there's a lot of vendors that we all work with that are outside the county as well, especially down towards Watsonville and stuff like that. And so some of the more relevant ones to a lot of operations might be helpful just to have a list of them. So you can, so new growers can kind of get an idea of, where they need to start when they're trying to get certain supplies and like that. I've just found that we've gotten a lot of questions from some of the new operations about those things in particular. There used to be like a not an easy entrance for a new operation to kind of get into that.
Okay, that's great. Thanks. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Because we could talk to Eliza about that and the two of you and all of us, yeah. Anything else on this topic? So, next is the Community Development Director's Report, the Planning Liaison, and, yeah, I have here as well. Olivia?
So there were no new planned agricultural development reports that were, or new ones, the ones projects considered by the Board of Supervisors or the Planning Commission. There's one new permit, planned agricultural permit that came in for Frank Lemos at 12320 San Mateo Road. The project planner is listed for that. It's Kanoa Kelly. You can reach out to him for questions. And there were no coastal development exemptions that came in. And the next meeting is going to be April 8th.
And the next is the training, I'm sorry, not the training, the presentation by Corin, but before I go to that, I just want to double check if there's any members of the public with their hand raised before I move on. Just because I can't see it, so from here. Thank you. Oh, and the.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, we're starting to try to get a speaker series going on at the Coastside office. And on April 29th, we're having a speaker from the California Department of Insurance to talk about, policy cancellations, what are the alternatives, what happens is, geared more towards residential, but I think, you know, if something might be appropriate to some people here too.
Is that, where would somebody find the information as far as time and?
I just did the
topic?
invite today, so I'll have to take it, it's getting approved by
Oh,
everybody.
okay,
And then I'll send it to Olivia to send to the committee.
so save the date, right?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
basically what I'm saying, do you want to send one to you?
That's great. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mike.
because there's a lot of policies getting canceled in Pacific. Yeah, you know.
Okay.
And I wanted to give an update, sorry, on, for the formatting, for the packets and the agenda. So I got clarification from council that the way I've been doing it, it was requested probably about a couple of months ago to keep some items as standing items as reminders if you ever wanted to revisit. So I will be moving those to an attachment to the director's report. The reason being is that if they remain under the category of the committee updates, that it gives the impression to the public, because this is published to everyone who's interested in this committee meeting, that there might be, there's potentially discussion. So, and that they might want to contribute to discussion. So just to let you know, I'll be switching those items to a separate document, likely as an attachment to the director's report. It'll still be listed and still be available for the committee, but not as actually, because like sometimes there won't be any discussion points or comments on it. So, but it'll be available as a reminder list. Also, and then moving next, sorry, Natalie, do you want to go ahead and then Jeremy has his hand raised.
Wait, Jeremy, last name?
Oh, Wagner, sorry.
That's okay. The chair recognizes Jeremy Wagner, a member of the public, is that correct?
Yeah, and he's with Corin. He was going to do the presentation. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have him.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Jeremy. I'm not sure. This is Olivia. I'm not sure if you can, how well the presentation's gonna go, because we don't have our wall monitor.
Oh my gosh, really? Okay. Is there a way to even share the screen on the smaller screen there?
You're on my laptop, but it's a room full of people it's a room full of people. They won't be able to see my screen very well.
Okay, understood. What screen are you seeing now? Are you seeing my screen at the moment?
No. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, which screen are you seeing? I've got
your profile, your name, sorry.
Oh, understood. Okay. So right now I'm sharing the presentation, but I'm not seeing an option for actually sharing the screen.
It's not going to be large enough for the whole room to see easily.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll just go through it then. Sure.
You have to bring it to this.
I'm sorry, we don't see the presentation, Olivia. Do you have to make him a panelist?
Okay, Jeremy, I promoted you. See if that helps. Jeremy, is the screen changing for you at all?
Yes, it is. Sorry. Yeah. When I was promoted, it muted me again. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. All right. Okay. So let me just fire that up, and One second. All right. So my name is Jeremy Wagner, Deputy Agricultural Commissioner and Sealer for San Mateo County. The purpose of this presentation is to give a quick update on our county's agricultural ID program. So the Ag ID program is part of the county's emergency preparedness efforts. We know that our county is going to be hit by a wildfire, earthquake, or other disaster at some point in the future. And we also know that agriculture is hardest hit during a disaster, largely because the entire season's income can be lost if an evacuation order prevents producers from accessing their properties. The purpose of the program is to identify commercial livestock producers and grant them access to their properties in the event of a wildfire. Now, it's not a free pass behind the fire lines. It works more like TSA PreCheck. Excuse me. Security measures are limiting access, and allowable activities are still in place, but it just works a lot faster and better when we have a plan for access before the disaster starts. So a lot of this stems for us from the CZU complex fires. During the 2020 CZU fires, the county saw an urgent need for ag producers to access their properties in the coastal evacuation zone to avoid heavy crop and livestock losses. At that time, our department compiled a list of verified growers requesting access, which we submitted to CAL FIRE. They reviewed it and they sent it to law enforcement people operating the evacuation checkpoints. It was definitely a situation that we had never encountered before, and although we were able to give our ag industry access, our experiences with CZU told us that we needed a more formal program. So, at the same time, things were moving statewide. So in October of 2021, the California State Legislature passed Assembly Bill 1103, which created a legal framework for establishment of agricultural access programs for livestock producers. Last year, a new bill, Assembly Bill 1141, is introduced, and it was shelved and pushed out to this year's legislative cycle. So it's not moving very fast, but if it passes, that bill would expand the livestock pass framework to all producers, including those of row crops, nursery stock, and other planted agriculture. And so more recently for us, the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors approved the creation of an Ag ID program that follows the language of AB 1103. So that is, that language restricts access to property owners and managerial employees of livestock operations. But if AB 1141 passes, we're prepared to quickly expand our program into one that will help both ranchers and producers of planted agriculture. So this screen, you probably can't see it on the tiny screen. It's a very small section of AB 1103, and the purpose of it is just to show that it's not a free pass behind the fire lines. The traffic control points and the county's emergency operations center really have the final say for whether you can go in. This is just to facilitate the process, but if you have an Ag ID, you can't immediately go to the evacuation checkpoints. You've got to wait for the okay from the EOC. So here's our process in a nutshell. Our department, Department of Ag and Weights and Measures, verifies that you are a commercial agricultural producer. Then we've got some paperwork for you to sign, grower application and attestation, and some supplemental paperwork for livestock. Then one of the requirements of AB 1103 is an approved training provided by CAL FIRE. And then after that, we'll issue a hard plastic ID. It looks a lot like a driver's license. And the rule in San Mateo County is one ID per person. So each person working behind a fire line needs to be issued an Ag ID. So the idea is that during a disaster, the owners and managerial employees would present their Ag IDs to the public safety officers at the roadblocks and be granted access when it's safe. So here's our program eligibility criteria right now. It's not really designed for residents or homeowners, so we made the count of animals a requirement, like to really reflect a commercial level of production. But here's an idea of the of our criteria. There's There's some provision, that there are a lot of different options to join the Ag ID program. We've got a few different paperwork requirements, including certified producer certificates, or an operator ID presented by our department. However, like we do also reserve the right to do site visits to verify production. So the allowable activities per AB 1103 are sheltering, moving, transporting, evacuating, feeding, watering, or administering veterinary care to livestock. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's a pretty limited list, but the intent of the law is that it's not day-to-day operations that are being done on site. It's really designed around emergency operations. And then, of course, also providing local expertise for peace officers and emergency personnel. So from our discussions with a number of our ag producers, we know that property access during a disaster isn't a need that's just being felt by our livestock producers. Other production ag businesses have the need for employees on site to prevent losses. And of course, many larger operations have a need for more employees on their properties than just owners and managers in a disaster. Often it's not the owner or managerial employee who knows how to repair a water pipe or move livestock. So unfortunately, the scope of the project is currently limited by state law, but we've written the resolution with wording that allows for it to expand immediately if the law is to change. It's still a pretty young program, and we're committed to making it the best program it can be. So we appreciate any feedback that you can send our way about what's working and what's not. We know that there are probably going to be a number of situations that don't exactly fit into the Ag ID box, and we're prepared for those to a degree. So in the case where like a farmer or something needs to bring in an irrigation truck, but the driver isn't an Ag ID holder. I mean, one of our major takeaways from our meetings with CAL FIRE and the Sheriff's Department is that we want to be in the room, to have discussions. So the next time a disaster hits, a member of the Ag Department will be on site during the emergency at the Emergency Operations Center to coordinate like access for funny situations like that don't quite fit into the current scheme. And of course, there's a training required prior to the issuance of the Ag ID. So that's statute has it set to no more than 4 hours. And so our Ag IDs are good for 3 years. So back in October of 2023, we had our first successful Ag ID issuance event. Here's some pictures from it. This was essentially an all-in-one event. At the beginning of the day, ranchers and beekeepers turned in their applications. Then they sat down to a 4-hour training on fire safety that was given by 2 representatives of CAL FIRE. Live translation services were provided at the event. Small wireless headsets were handed out, and the translators were able to directly translate the CAL FIRE training into Spanish. And so while the training was taking place, the applications were being processed by a group of biologists from our department. And then afterwards, while lunch was being served, the ranchers sat down, had their photo taken, and the IDs were printed and issued that day. So ultimately, 34 Ag IDs were issued, representing 19 commercial livestock and apiary operations. And we're looking forward to more Ag ID issuance events coming up this spring, most likely in May and June. And of course, we're still keeping a very close eye on Assembly Bill 1141, and we're definitely soliciting feedback on the program. Because it's a pretty young program, and we're going to try to make it fit our industry as it stands, however we can. So thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to present. I just like to open up the discussion to the members of the group, answer any questions, or hear any feedback you can think of. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
The chair recognizes James Oku.
I just wanted to say thank you. It's really great to hear that someone from Ag will be in the emergency center to help with those weird interactions, like you were saying, getting trucks through those zones too when they're needed, because I know that was definitely a struggle for some.
Very well said. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And Jeremy, can I get your title at the county again? I'm so sorry. I didn't quite catch it from here.
Oh, no, not at all. And sorry, I was a little bit quick on the draw there. With stopping the screen share, but I'm sorry, I'm the Deputy Agricultural Commissioner and Sealer.
Deputy Agriculture Commissioner and what?
Agricultural Commissioner and Sealer. Yeah.
And Sealer. All right, thank you, my dear. Okay. So I won't see your name at the gas stations on the pumps like Corin, so, or will I? Is it different?
Nope,
Like-
definitely Corin's name on the gas station.
Yeah, you can reach Jeremy through our department.
Great. Well, what a worthwhile program. Thank you. Did you have a question, Cole?
I just had a quick question. I know this is a bit out of your hands because this is coming from the state level, but do you have an idea of any idea from the state level of when it'd be possible to have Ag ID access for producers who are not doing livestock?
That's a really good question. So I reached out recently to our legislative analyst for an update on Assembly Bill 1141. We don't have an update, on the status of that bill yet, but so I'm afraid I don't have a clear picture as to when, if it's going to pass or when, but it hasn't been removed from the state legislative platform for this year. So I'm hopeful, but it does seem to be moving slowly, unfortunately.
And I think it's important to talk to your state representatives about your support for AB 1141, because that's where it would change to planted agriculture, as well as livestock. And also the other thing we've definitely heard everyone's concerns about the limitation on who can get an Ag ID, and unfortunately that is in state law at the moment. So it would take an act of the legislative to change that. So again, I would encourage you to reach out to your representative.
So, any other questions? Okay, is there any questions from the public? Because I think I just got a text from a member of the public, but I didn't leave their name. See if I encourage them to raise their hand.
Don't see a hand up.
I think so, but I didn't.
You could read the question as a record.
Okay.
If they're listening, they'll just speak in here.
Thanks, Mike. Well, it's actually, I guess it's too late now, but I don't check my messages during the meetings, but let's table this until next month, until the big screen works. So,
Oh,
right. So, is this anything that can be put online? To, and please, public person, if Dante or whoever they are, raise your hand and get you in sooner. I just try not to check text during the meeting.
Jeremy, are you still there?
I'm still here, yeah.
Is that available on, will it be available or can it be available online?
Oh, sorry, you mean this presentation?
Yeah,
Or-
that way.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
slideshow
correct.
part of it.
Let's see, I don't have it currently posted online, but I suppose this meeting is being recorded, so it is online now. like as far as like more information about the agricultural ID program, you can also visit our website. It's at agwm.smcgov.org, and there's a lot more details about the Ag ID program there, including the eligibility criteria and our upcoming training dates. When we have them, will be posted there as well.
And Olivia, when you make this available online after the meeting, then anyone interested, they could go online and see the presentation as well, the slides, correct?
Yeah, I'm curious though how clear it'll be, so I'll have to
Take
find
a
out.
look.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
take a look.
It was really clear to me on
Oh,
Zoom.
good, okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Okay, that's good. Anything else? I have a question. This is Natalie. This may have been discussed before, but how many head of cattle, are we talking to qualify as livestock producer, for this particular program? And does that, entail people who grow or who raise lambs or goats or any other kind of livestock, or is it just cattle at this time?
20, I think.
So great question. For cattle, the requirement is 20 head of cattle. For goats or sheep, that's also allowed. It's 20 animals as well. Pigs is like for most of the larger animals like goats, cattle, sheep, pigs. It's 20 animals is the requirement. For poultry, fowl, or rabbits, we tried to make the requirement a little stricter at 50, and then 100 beehives is the requirement if you're a beekeeper.
Okay, great, thank you.
That's a lot. That is a lot. It's a lot. 50.
Okay, thank you. And Cole, the chair recognizes Cole and Cole. I'm so sorry, because you were so sweet to shorten your name for me, Anastasio. And I'm gonna practice it, but I expected to have the name cards out like they usually are, so.
I appreciate it. If I can make just one comment with the program as well, I'm very appreciative of the program. I think it's a good expansion, and I'm hoping that it can be expanded beyond livestock producers as well. The one thing I would just say, and I recognize that some of this may be out of the hands of the county and more in the hands of the state legislature at this moment, is there, in my experience during the fire, and our farm was hit basically by a CZU wildfire. We were kind of right in the zone, but it was hit hard at the southern end of the county. Having folks just go in and out, basically to do very specific things like, feeding livestock or something like that is of course important. But it also was necessary to have a lot of folks who were in the community to also support, the firefighters who were on the ground there. The reality was that in our area, a lot of us were actively fighting the fire. And even if, there's not a willingness of the county to support that, which I understand, because that opens up a lot of liability. There was a lot of importance of having us there to help, show firefighters where reservoirs are to pull water from, show firefighters where a house was that they probably weren't aware existed basically back in the woods. And if there's a potential of expanding this program to potentially be folks maybe in that community or not, but folks who could kind of be community, I don't know, fire liaisons more or less, but it sort of assist the actual operation of firefighters, who in our experience, none of whom were really local to the area that we were from. A lot of them were coming from out of state. For us, it was particularly firefighters from New Mexico. So clearly had no local knowledge. It was really important to have people on the ground. So I just, want to mention that. I don't know what's feasible within the county to even make that happen, but that was the difference of having houses burned down, buildings burned down or not, during actual fire. So it's something I feel strongly about.
You could write to your state senator and assemblyman and say, I think this is could be added to the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll be writing a letter.
And it sounds like that's outside the domain of what the county can do within this program. Yeah, I figured so, but, yeah, okay.
Chair recognizes James Oku.
So one of the things that we're considering growing in our greenhouses now is gonna be fish. And so I was wondering, is fish gonna be allowed under this?
Ooh, really good question.
Yeah, you gotta add fish.
Man, I don't know, to be honest. how many fish do you have, James?
Well, we don't have any yet, but I mean, we're gonna be a commercial operation potentially, so I would assume a lot.
Okay, all right, understood. So there are some legal definitions of livestock that I uncovered in the Food and Agricultural Code and elsewhere. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to be able to quote them adequately from here, but I'll look into them and see whether that's an option.
Great.
And then Jeremy, could you speak to whether the firefighting efforts was one of the tasks that was allowed by the Food and Ag Code?
Yeah, so firefighting activities it itself isn't really called out, but you're right that I mean that's part of the part that's really baked into the sorry, I'm pulling up the wording now. It's baked into our program is like the authorization to provide local expertise to peace officers and emergency personnel. So a lot of that like local liaison like elements, like the state legislature recognized the value of the landowners, of the managers of the property to point the firefighters in the right direction and assist them in their efforts. So there's some part of that are already like currently active in our program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I was just gonna say, we also do mealworms, but that's getting a little small.
Well, I would imagine that you could quickly have enough mealworms, right? Like how many mealworms would it take?
Gophers?
I feel like I need to know this now, Daniel. Jeremy?
Sorry, yeah.
I was mostly in jest.
Like it. Well, thank you very much. I think I share with the rest of the committee when we say thank you so much for that and for your efforts to make this happen. So it extends to other farmers besides these ranches. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
If there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. No public people were missing, right, Olivia? Cross my T's and dot my I's.
No more hands that I see.
Okay, all right, so the meeting is to adjourn. Thank you.